The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Camping Show. I'm C.W. Getz.
And I'm Willow Munson.
It's Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. We have a 64-degree, cloudy, breezy, yucky day here in Illinois. What do you got there, Willow?
About 73 degrees, pretty cloudy all day, nothing exciting.
Yeah, we got dumped on this morning, rain, and I was standing outside, and I had a repairman here today. And I'm telling you, I thought the lightning struck right out in my yard. It was that close.
Wow.
It instantly flash bang. And I'm thinking, maybe I shouldn't be out here.
Thunderstorms are the coolest, though. That's a great way to start your day.
they're cool. They really are cool until you get lightning like coming out of your back pocket. Then it's not
true.
So much, yeah, it's a little scary then. But no storms down there. No rain. Nothing like that, huh?
Nope. Nothing exciting.
You know, I think we've had more rain in the past week than we had all summer. That's really about accurate.
Huh.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it rains like every other day here now. But, well, I'm glad the weather's nicer where you are. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Campground Views, making camping easier.
And by Rutabaga Paddle Sports, providing time on the water.
Tonight's episode is Cold Tents versus Hot Tents with our special guest, Mr. Kevin Callan. Willow, could you tell us a little bit about Kevin, please?
Kevin, aka The Happy Camper, is author of 18 books. He is an award-winning writer and a keystone speaker at outdoor events across North America, and is also a regular guest on several television morning shows and CBC radio. Kevin has several film awards to his credit and writes a column for Paddle Magazine and Explore Magazine. He was listed as one of the top 100 modern-day explorers by the Canadian Geographical Society and was made patron paddler for Paddle Canada.
Well, with that, welcome to the show, Kevin.
Welcome, Kevin.
Hello!
I think Willow said Keystone. I think because we had a little conversation before the show, and we were talking about alcohol, and I think we got it off. It said Keystone. I think it was, right? Keystone? Yeah, I think it was.
Maybe.
Keystone. I think so. Hey, Kevin, I got a quick question for you. Other than the experience of getting to pee in a Dixie cup, why would anyone go winter camping?
Oh my Lord, you got to explain that. First of all, we have to explain what you're talking about.
First of all, Kevin did not pee in a Dixie cup.
I did not. I did not pee in a Dixie cup. I almost peed on a plant in a classroom today. You think winter camping is fun? You think winter camping is dangerous? No. I went to teach at a school near Toronto, which is kind of like a big city in Canada here. And
kind of a big city, yeah.
Kind of a big city. And having fun. We're doing good. We're doing mammal ID. And all of a sudden, code 7. And I looked at the counselor. I said, what's code 7? And they locked the door. Yeah, it's a lockdown. There's someone of mental distress in the hallway, so we can't leave the classroom until that dissipates. I went, okay. And then I look around and I go, why are you not all worried? Because I'm like, whoa! And they're like, yeah,
looking for a Dixie cup, right?
Well, no, you kind of happens a lot. But here's the thing. I had to pee.
Yeah.
And we're in that lockdown for 2.5 hours. So you can say, like, it's getting worse, right? And I looked at this tropical plant in the corner and I said, guys, if it really goes badly in the next half hour, I got to go. But we're good.
Now, do you think that really is there a big difference between peeing in a plant and peeing in a Dixie cup?
Yes.
Really?
Okay. Yes.
I think, you can take the Dixie cup and throw it in the toilet, but you can't take the plant.
I don't know how much urine you have, but I can fill that 3 times over. And if there's a plant, at least that's somewhat natural.
Well, I'm not talking about the little Dixie cups that you get, when you're back in the 70s, you have that by.
What's a Dixie cup then?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they make bigger. I mean, like maybe a red Solo cup, but it was, okay. I don't know. I didn't check the brand. It really didn't matter. We were in trouble. We were in the office and one of us had to pee. So,
Willow. So when you're at the dentist and you have to swish and spit, that's a Dixie cup, right?
Yeah, the little thing right next to the water fountain.
All right, I stand corrected. Maybe it was. I don't know. It was a plastic cup or a paper cup. Paper cup is what's a
It's
paper
not one of those big jugs you get for like a slushie when you go.
Yeah, that's what it was. A slushie. No.
What?
No.
It's not a Dixie cup.
Oh, you should. Folks, you should hear our conversations with Kevin when he comes on the show before in the green room, or I should say backstage before we. That's probably some of the best entertainment there is.
It's very serious. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, back to the regular scheduled program. Why would anyone go winter camping, Kevin? Why would anybody want to go outside and freeze, just to go camping, right?
Well, that's a really good question. A lot of people have that question. In fact, actually, there's days I have that question.
When you're peeing in the Dixie cup.
What am I doing? Like, why would I do this? But I got to say, as a Canadian, we have winter for a long period of time out here, right? So yeah. What else you doing? Are you watching like Netflix and waiting for the spring to come all winter? Like, why would you do that? If you're Canadian, you immerse yourself in your environment and you enjoy winter, or you don't live here, go live somewhere else. Like, winter is a great part. And when I, travel with the Cree in the far north, winter was the best time for them to travel in the woods because it was easier to travel then. They didn't like the springtime because it was black flies, mosquitoes, and the bears were not asleep, that sort of thing, right? So yeah, wintertime is a great time, I think, because it's getting you outdoors and enjoying it.
I'm wondering if it's less populated, less crowded as well. I mean, does that factor in?
Yeah, you see more wildlife. You hear more night sounds. Well, actually, quiet sounds, to be quite honest. It's absolutely completely quiet at night sometimes. And the northern lights, and it's just beautiful. The most beautiful thing is to lie on a lake that's frozen, look up in the northern lights, and then feel and hear the ice crack and crumble below you because it's actually shifting because it's freezing so much.
Just before you plunge.
No, you won't, because if it's cracking and crumbling, that means actually it's getting cold, and it's actually a good thing. But at first it'll scare them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, imagine it would. Yeah, depending on what time of the year you're doing, you don't want to do that in the spring, do you? When it's cracking, that's a bad deal.
Yeah, and you also don't want to do it in December. So if I was going to go winter camping, I would wait until February, because especially now with global warming, if you go out too early, then the ice is not that great. The snow's all that great. Right. I would wait a bit. And you're not climatized to the cold yet. When the cold hits, you're like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
And after a while, by January, it's common nature to freeze. So
do you Canadians do that then? And you go, when it starts getting cooler, do you go, oh, it's cold and it's not really? I just thought it was us down here in middle
deep
America.
South.
Or deep south, deep south, right?
Deep south of Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I think for you guys it's different because you got cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot.
Right.
And also where I live, I'm 2 hours north of Toronto. Now that's become the norm, which is not norm. But if you go up to the far north, no, you want at least minus 20 degrees Celsius or colder. You don't want a damp cold. You want a really dry cold with sun. And you won't get cold at all during that cold, because as long as you cover up, then you're not going to get hypothermic. Yeah. So where you guys are, you would probably get more hypothermic because the temperature's changing too much and you're not become acclimatized to that.
Yeah, interesting.
So you mentioned a little bit of this with the northern lights and the cracking ice, but why do you think winter camping has become so popular in the past 5 years?
Well, camping itself has become really popular the last couple of years because of COVID, but winter camping became even more popular before COVID. So it's not really a COVID thing. Summer camping, yes, big time because of COVID. But winter camping, it's because people are saying, I want to go out there and experience wilderness in a different season. We're so lucky to have 4 seasons. I cannot imagine living in any country that only has 1 season. I couldn't.
I can.
Yeah. Well, I know you because you're just you.
Yeah. Tropical
CW.
sand, beaches. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you pee in a Dixie cup, okay? Oh, I'm just saying.
You can camp 365 days a year. And I mean, you can just camp anywhere, anytime. It's just,
Yeah, but that's
no
not the
clothes. Well, not
spice of
minimum
life.
clothes.
The spice of life is to have spring. It's funny in the springtime we're like, yay, we can go camping, and then
Right.
buy bugs, and then yay, we can go camping in summer, and then you get heat stroke, and then yay, we can go camping in the fall, and you see the fall colors. And actually, that's probably a great time. I
Yeah,
have
right.
negative that. And then
Oh.
yay, it's wintertime, and then why would I go camping? But man, if you do it right, you don't want spring to come.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we have Mustang 774 saying he likes to go winter camping because there's way less traffic on the trails in the winter, and he loves snowshoeing at night.
Yeah. The idea of going snowshoeing, especially at night too, that crisp of the snow. And
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
And you hear a far distant wolf howl. It's just beautiful, right? And the coldness of your, even the snow dropping from the sky and tickling your nose. That's fantastic. I love that part. Yeah.
So what would you say are the different means of winter camping?
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different ways. You can do a snow cave. You can do a quinzhee. You can do an igloo. You could do a tarp with a fire reflecting on the tarp. But the main types, the two types, would be cold tenting and hot tenting. And wow, what a debate. Because it's almost like soccer, or do you like football? It's just it's that much. It's split right in the middle. Right?
Did you say soccer or football?
Well, because you guys are Americans, because if I said that in the UK, they would get so confused.
Yeah, exactly, because of the same. Yeah, soccer.
Well, how about this? How about baseball
and
lacrosse? Lacrosse?
Lacrosse?
Oh my God, I'm drinking tea and I say lacrosse.
How about baseball and hockey? How's that?
That's right. Baseball and hockey. That's
you get the Blue Jays and you get
Okay, good comment, Dixie Cup.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. I lost my place here. Where was I at? Okay, because I'm cheating off a sheet. Would you tell us a few of the top brands of hot tents and those of the four-season tents, otherwise known as cold tents? Give us some brands.
Yeah, so when you're looking at cold tenting, so that's basically a tent that you would use in the summer, but that's a 3-season tent, right? So, but a 4-season tent is still the same thing. It's a nylon dwelling, but it's more ventilated, so it has more ventilation, because you don't want an enclosed area to sleep in the winter, because you're breathing out cold air while you're in the sleeping bag inside the tent, and that cold air is going to become crystals and it's going to freeze on the tent's ceiling, but then eventually, because the heat of your body, it's going to melt and then come down as moisture onto your sleeping bag and just get you wet, right? So you want more aeration. So you've got a cold season tent is more aerable. It also has poles that are more sturdy in case there's a snowstorm. There's lots of snow going onto your tent. Your poles won't snap. And that sort of thing. So a little bit more expensive. You could use a 3-season, but if it's an extreme winter, I would go for a 4-season. But the thing is, there's goods and bads about that. The goods about a hot tent, the goods about a cold tent is that it's lightweight. You can pack it in your pack, and then snowshoe across the wilderness and go further into the woods, because all you're doing is carrying a pack on with your tent in it and a good sleeping bag. The negative of it is the only way you're keeping warm is your own body heat inside that tent. And the other, I think, is a huge negative, is that it gets dark around 5 or 6 at night. So then you're going to go in the tent after you had your crappy meal, and then maybe wait and pray that morning comes. And what do you do? It's just boring as hell. So you look into hot tenting. That's a canvas structure that you haul on a freight toboggan. And so it's a lot more heavy. Well, not a lot more heavy, but it's heavier than actually your 4-season. So it's about 30 pounds with a wood stove as well. So you're carrying that. And so probably you're looking at 40, 45 pounds.
Yeah. What kind of weight? Okay.
Yeah. You can't carry that in your pack with all your other gear. So you have to haul it on a toboggan. But if you travel the north in the winter, you know that you use snow as your advantage, not your disadvantage, your advantage. So you're using the snow as a positive. You're hauling your toboggan across the snow and ice, and it's easy, right? So then what happens? And this is glorious, absolutely glorious, everybody, right? So then you get to camp. It's at 4 because you don't want to make camp at 5 or 6 because the disadvantage of hot tenting, it takes a lot of time to set that tent up and a lot of time to get things ready.
Yeah.
So when you set it up, though, you have a heat source. And I'm talking a sauna. I'm talking once you get that stove going inside that tent, you're sweating. You got a t-shirt on, right? And then you can get everything dry. Because the worst thing ever for winter camping is not the cold, it's the dampness. You don't want to get wet. If you get wet, you will get cold. If it's a dry cold and you never get wet, you're fine. But if you get wet, it's a disaster. So
which I don't understand how people polar dip with that in mind. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they
That's
take a lot of
yeah.
Yeah, they take a lot of drugs. If you take a lot of drugs,
They have to.
yeah.
I had a fellow on the show, Kyle Loney, and he does that. I said, I don't know how you do that, but yeah. But anyway, cold and wet, and that's true. Yeah, damp with the clothes, the wet clothes on you. Yeah.
Let's just say that anybody that polar dips, they do not pee in a Dixie cup. They actually pee in the water while they're polar dipping,
just for warmth.
Yeah,
I love it. So anyway, you're cold and damp, and that's a bad deal.
Yeah. So with a hot tent, you've got a structure with a stove inside. You've got a heat source. And then you're not trying to move through the wilderness as fast as possible so you can get home and tell everybody, oh, hey, look, I went winter camping. Look at me. I'm better than you are. You actually go out there for longer periods of time and enjoy yourself, which I think is very more positive than the other.
Yeah, simply, and I'm sorry, Willow, simply for the fact that you can sit up and play cards or whatever you want to do. And you're not wrapped up and bundled up and all this and all that kind of good stuff. You can actually move freely, move about, just like you would in your home, right?
It's huge. It's huge because you now have social hours. So you get the tent set up, you got the stove going, you get firewood gathered, and then you're with your buddies or by yourself, whatever. But you have light. You can actually talk about the day. You can tell stories. You can play cards. You don't think about, I better go to bed at 6 and hope I live through the night.
Yeah. Has that ever been a concern for you?
Well, it's funny because I do still cold tent. I'm not against it because especially in the later part, like in March, I'll do that a lot because I want to make time. And when I had a job too, where I had to track a wolf pack for a job, I had to keep going. So I couldn't do hot tenting. I had to keep moving all day. So, but usually in the wintertime, you're not making a lot of progress because of deep snow, whatever. But at the same time, yeah, I would do the same. Which is good and which is bad. It all depends on your mindset on the trip. What are you out there for?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you mentioned hot tenting. It gets pretty warm in the tent, so you don't really want to get sweaty or anything. But are there any other potential dangers of hot tenting?
There's some perceived dangers. Some are real and some really are not. The number one, because I take students out, and now we're not allowed to take them out in hot tents. We have to cold tent because they can't sleep in a heated structure, which is just stupid. So let's let them freeze and then not enjoy their time and never want to go winter camping ever again. Or we can the danger they say is carbon monoxide poisoning. So the idea of that is you got the stove going, you're in the tent, and at night the stove goes down, the embers go down, you've just got some coals. The wind can go down that pipe and go over the coals and cause carbon monoxide gas, and then breathe that out to everybody lying on the ground. So in theory, that can happen.
Has that ever happened to you?
That's never happened to anybody that I know. Unless someone out there knows. I did a lot of research because I've written a couple of books on winter camping, and I've asked everywhere, and that's never ever happened. And if you're worried about it, bring a carbon monoxide
meter, or alarm or whatever.
Things like that. Bring those
detector.
That's don't say, "Oh, we can't take youth out anymore because of it." And so what I also do is there's 2 vents on my hot tent. I have an Esker and a snow trucker. And sorry, Willie, you asked me the question about about different brands. I'll get that in a minute. But
I figured you'd just email it to us or something.
yeah. I'm going off on a tangent because I got stuck in a room today because my Lord, it was
Oh, good.
Well, everybody thinks really winter camping is dangerous. Today was dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? We got someone in the hallway that actually is emotionally distressed.
Well,
and we
it's
all
true.
locked herself in.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. Winter camping with carbon monoxide? Really?
And
So-
you do have vents on the tent anyway. So I mean, it's not gonna be like you're like in a plastic bubble.
No.
I mean,
and
yeah,
also the fabric that's used is an Egyptian cotton, canvas cotton that's breathable. So even the material that you're sleeping in is breathable. And you have vents. And also what I do is I also put the front door zipper out a bit because it gets too friggin' hot anyway. So you've got ventilation. The other is, could it burn, ignite? Well, yeah, because you've got a stove inside that dwelling. It could. But by law, those tents in the United States and in Canada, especially Canada, because I know in Canada they're not allowed here unless they have this, but they have to have fire retardant embedded in the material. So if that ignited, it would not go woof. It would actually smolder. It would never just ignite. If you use one of those nylon tents, a lot of people are using nylon tents.
It's a hot tent?
Actually in your area too. They'll use
As
nylon
a hot tent, you're saying.
as a hot tent, because it's a cheap way to do it.
Wow.
You'll put a stove in there. If that nylon is not impregnated with the
Flame
fire retardant,
yeah, right.
it will melt on you and completely destroy you. It won't burn you, it will melt you. So that's something that people should worry about. But these tents like Snow Tracker or Esker, no, they're breathable. It's Egyptian cotton, right? So
Why don't you throw us those names again? Tell us the cold tent ones, and give me a couple 3 brand names, and then go to the hot tents and do that.
So the one main cold tent I would use is a Eureka. You have that in the United States and in Canada. They have 2 four-season tents. I like them because they're affordable. I hate to say that, but I'm cheap. Well, not cheap. I don't have any money. I'm a Canadian writer, for heaven's sakes. So
save a buck where you can,
Yeah. So they're pretty good brands for that. There's probably some other ones, but that's what I own. So the other for hot tents, 2 main ones here would be the Snow Tracker, which is made in the United States, which actually is the cream of the crop. It is the tent for hot tenting. The owners are fantastic people. A couple that actually have done this for many years. Very expensive. It's the sort of the tent to have, and it's what's called an A-frame. So an A-frame is basically the poles make the frame, and then you put the canvas over that, and it's about 32 pounds, depending, for the whole entire tent for the poles, and that's great. Goods and bads. Goods, it's a really incredible tent. I have a problem. I have way too many tents. Some people collect postage stamps. I don't know.
Right.
So that's a good one. The only disadvantage I would say for that is it's pretty expensive, especially if you don't live in the United States. Because if I lived in Canada, they would have to, because they make them in their own shop. You can't buy this at a store.
Yeah.
So they're pretty expensive to order, but it's worth it. So I'm talking $1,200 or more, right? So that's pretty expensive if you only go winter camping like one weekend, right?
Yeah, you want to use it.
Yeah,
you want to use it to make it work.
Yeah. So and there's ways around that I can talk about, but the other one here you can get. It's a Canadian product. It's an Esker Tent, and it's made just near Toronto.
Why don't you spell that for everyone?
Oh, Esker, Esker.
Okay.
Mouse.
And that's in Toronto. The other one is the Snow Tracker is Minnesota, if I'm correct.
Minnesota.
Yeah, is that right?
Is it?
I think it is, but maybe I'm wrong. Anybody knows, just chime in and correct us.
I know Dwayne and the owner would. They live near there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like someone telling someone from where you are telling where Saskatchewan is.
Exactly right. Yeah. Minnesota.
Oh, and by the way, I was on the radio the other day in Saskatchewan, and the main city is Regina, and I did not say Regina.
I knew it. Willow was like, what?
Oh my goodness.
No.
Well, go ahead.
It was bad. I thought it was funny. It was live too. And I've done it.
Live is best. That's what we are live.
3 times on that show, and they just don't find it funny at all.
Do you still have a job?
No, I get nervous.
No, I mean, do you still have a job at the station?
They keep taking you back.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
They must love you.
Yeah. And
Okay,
my
well-
daughter was here when I did that, and she gave me the old eye roll, like, "Oh, father,
Not again.
not again." You know, it's so
Oh,
embarrassing.
poor girl.
No. All right, so yeah, Esker. There is a tent company in Quebec. Gosh, I forget the name of that company, but they make similar brand too. Shoot. Anyway, so Eskers are made, so it's a totally different idea. It's like a teepee pyramid style tent. It's not an A-frame. So goods and bads of that, right? So basically what it is, you stake out the perimeter and it's got one pole. So whether you bring a pole, a lightweight pole, or you cut a pole out of the bush, just like a pole, like wood pole, that means it's a lot lighter. So you're not taking the A-frame. You just got one pole sticking up and it's there for you. So it's a lot lighter to haul. Not that the other tent is heavy, but it's a lot lighter.
Yeah.
It's more simplistic. It's also a lot cheaper. You're talking $600 to $800 for a tent for 3 or 4 people. And you could put the fire or the stove in the center, which is the original way, but now they've got them to the side as well. So that's good and bad too. Like I prefer the stove to the side. Some people prefer it in the middle so you can gather around the stove.
Right. Yeah, that's the way I would. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got both tents. Well, I've got 6 tents. I don't know.
And it's not close to a wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? There's a reflector on there.
Yeah.
You're so paranoid, CW. Like, really? Like,
well, I pee in a Dixie cup. What can I say?
oh, that's true. Well, if you did that, you could at least put your urine from the Dixie cup on the fire so you won't burn. Right?
We're going to talk about something like that a little bit later because, Willow's got that lined up for you.
Okay, well, I think on that note, we're going to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be back with more of The Camping Show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
It's time to go camping. Introducing Campground View's virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sites, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground View's virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
And we are back with our guest, Kevin Callan, here on The Camping Show. I love this. I love this hat, man. This is, that's killer. I love
Really
it.
hot though.
And you said it's hot in there. Why are you wearing a hat when it's hot, man?
I don't know, like, because I need a haircut.
Same reason I pee in a Dixie cup, right?
Yeah.
All right. Roxy, could we have you put up some photos, please? Some of Kevin's photos. We'll have him tell us a little about each one of those, if you wouldn't mind. There he is. Who is that guy? Hey, is that real fur?
It is.
Has
But
Peter been calling you about?
You know what, though? I got to tell you. Well, I've got that right here. I actually got it right here
Yeah.
for you.
What kind of fur is that? I'm just curious. You know, it's already.
That's coyote fur. The preferred
Wow.
wool. The preferred wool. My lord, I'm drinking tea.
Are you drinking tonight or what?
No, I'm not. I'm drinking
Fireside whiskey chat before
No,
the
it's
show.
green tea. In fact, I gotta pour myself a whiskey maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's an anorak I'm wearing. So that is a canvas. It's the same sort of canvas that you would wear or use for your hot tent.
Okay.
It's breathable. So I learned this when I was up north. Lure of the North actually really educated me a lot. It's an outdoor group that actually take people out in the wilderness, but also traveling with the Cree. I wore my really fancy Gore-Tex jacket that cost me probably $400, $500, right? And I was out for a month with them. I was out on the trap line with them, just a young kid with them, and I was out with the elders. And they look at me, and I thought, hey, I'm cool. Like if I was in Toronto, I would, it's cool. Right. And they're like, yeah, you probably will die, because the average temperature up there is minus 40 Celsius or colder, but it's a dry cold.
Yeah,
it's not a wet cold. And they said you need one of these, and it's anorak. So basically, you wear it over wool. So merino wool, and that's not a brand. It's a type of wool. It's a really lightweight wool. And so what happens is when you sweat, and you don't want to sweat. So when you're hauling to the toboggan during the day, you really don't want to sweat. You calm down, cool down. You like, look at me. Like, that's not going to happen. They looked at me like, you are such a hyper white man. Like, you're going to die. So Charlie, the elder, he's like, Kevin, you got to calm down, cool down. And so ended up, you wear wool, and merino wool is really good against the skin. Some people have, very few people have allergic reaction to it, whatever, but majority of people, it's fine, right? Yeah. And so what happens when you do sweat a little bit, it actually goes from your body to the wool. And then when you stop, it freezes as crystals on the wool, and then you take it off and shake it, and that moisture leaves the wool, so it's not wet. Whereas if you're wearing cotton or polyester or whatever, or all those other brands, and some are good and some are bad, whatever, but not as good as merino wool. Like, so this really nice wool power sweater, expensive. So like, steal it, like break into a house and steal it.
It's definitely not cheap. Yeah. Steal it.
So this is breathable. So I wear this OPI wool. So it's breathable. So therefore I don't sweat as much. And it's really good going across a really windy lake. And that's really great. And yes, this is fur. So what I did with this, when I made this, I went to we call them Sally-Ann, or it's basically a used clothing store. And I got an old fur coat that someone was selling for I think $7. That probably cost $2,000 when they bought it, whatever. But so I made this. So the coyote was already dead. I'd live up north and or work up north and everything else. I have no problem with killing something as long as you use it and you don't use it for vanity. If you're wearing fur for vanity, that's wrong.
Yeah.
But what they also do, and I shot this myself. So basically, you've got this fur here, and this is snowshoe hair. So why you do that is when you're wearing this, you're breathing out, right? So you're breathing on this, and the moisture of your breath is collecting on that fur. And instead of cotton, right, it's not soaking it. So what you do is you take that off and shake the crystals off.
It's crystallized too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and you look good.
That's the most important aspect of this whole entire show, is that you look good.
Yeah, because everybody that really knows me, I'm a complete moron, right? So when they see me that outfit, they're like, "Oh, he looks. Look at that!
Look at there."
Oh,
hey, is that the same kind of? That is the same weight of canvas that they make mucklucks from.
Oh, they do, and I got that too. All right, here we go.
Okay, here we go.
I would not wear mucklucks, or some people call these snow moccasins. So I would only wear these in really extreme cold conditions. So if it's wet, slushy snow, and unless you have some type of moisture barrier in there, you're going to get it wet, right? But in the far north, like when they show me this, I was like, I'd rather have my really fancy boots, like, to be quite honest. Like, thank you very much. They're waterproof. They're made of Gore-Tex, and they're like, again, Kevin, you're going to die. So you put these on, and first of all, the snowshoe goes right to them, right? And also, when they're on the snow, you can feel the ground, and it's all part of you're part of nature, right?
Yeah.
And really great, and of course they look good. But if it gets wet, go and get these things at the Army surplus store. Nobody buys those. They're called Neos. You can get them for like $10. They're probably like $50. But nobody buys them. But my postal person wore them one day, and I went, hey, what are those? And it's waterproof liners that go over your boot. right?
Interesting.
Over what boot? Over what boot?
Well, either your regular boots or this thing. So if it's
okay.
wet, I'll put this thing and this thing.
So you're putting the mukluk inside there then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you kind of look like Herman Monster, which is all right because it's almost Halloween, right? But they're fantastic. And
Willow's like, who is that? What are you just saying? Yeah, right.
oh yeah, Herman Monster.
Yeah, go ahead. It's Munster, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
We got it. Yeah.
Sorry, well, he's some porn star from the 70s.
So you look like Herman Munster out there, and you're not sweating. You're crystallizing.
Yes. Or
now there's a good pic. So there's okay. I like that picture.
Well, see, look how good I look.
What do you pull in there, good looking man?
That's my freight toboggan.
Okay.
Which is
what's in there or what's on there?
Yeah, the material that it's made out of is the same thing around the hockey arena that they smash people against.
Oh.
But make sure you wax it, especially if it's really warm, especially a warm morning. You'll get the snow clinging to it, and it feels like you're pulling cement. So you got to make it slide really well. So put wax on it.
Yeah.
And then I got 3 waterproof bags there. They're hockey bags. They're waterproof. And I put those on, and I keep my gear in it. And instead of carrying it on my back, I'm hauling it and using the snow to your advantage. So there's the big difference. You're using winter to your advantage for traveling into the woods.
Okay. All right. So that's the end of the pictures?
No, well, this thing here.
You got one more. Okay, good.
So this is an American guy, Dan Cook, Custom Sewing. He makes these in the United States. So it's kind of a really fancy one of that. Oh.
Nice.
But here's a big thing, a good trick for you. So those mukluks are really good, but they're really slippery in cold snow, unless you want to put some glue some sand on the bottom. But he's made this to make better traction. And I bought these 3 years ago, and I just love them. So here's the trick, guys. So there's the liner. Bring 2 liners, because whether you're hot tenting or cold tenting, that liner at the end of the day is going to be wet because of your moisture, not because of rain or slush, whatever, because you're sweating, right? So you get this. If you're hot tenting, you hang it up and dry it with the wood stove. If you're cold tenting, put it in your sleeping bag under your armpit to dry with your body heat. But bring the other pair to use when this is drying.
Yeah. That's great. That's good. Great, excellent information.
There's so much information. I'm exhausted.
And as we keep on going, just to keep in mind, there's 10 minutes left and several more questions to go.
Oh, my Lord. Okay.
So what are we looking at here, Kevy?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You got to do this in between sips, man.
I know I've gone from tea to some whiskey, but yeah. So
we couldn't tell.
That's a trip with Laura North, and we all stayed in that one tent. So so that's a hot tent, but notice how the poles are holding the pipe up. The reason for that is so the pole doesn't fall down through the night and then fall down and then burn the tent down.
Yeah.
The main thing I want to show here is when you're putting the tent up, know where the prevailing winds are coming from. You do not want to put that pipe out towards the prevailing winds, because the smoke or the wind will go down the pipe and blow the smoke into the tent, and it'll become like a Cheech Chong movie.
Yeah. And then that carbon monoxide thing could very easily happen.
Yeah. So make sure you actually hold that pipe up, and don't be afraid of it. Like really, I've gone on so many winter trips, and what I do though is I do keep emergency stuff outside of the tent in case that tent burns. So I always have a neck knife around my neck, and outside the tent I have a bivy bag or an extra sleeping bag or a tarp, dry wood. So in case that burns, I can actually get protection before we get out in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point to make. Real quick, you could just do yes or no here, because we've got a couple more questions and we're winding down.
Okay.
But is winter camping, relatively speaking, because it's all expensive, but is winter camping, I should say, any more expensive than 3-season camping to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it is.
Because the gear, like a winter sleeping bag, to buy one new, you're talking if a good one, not a bad one that you'll freeze in, a good one, $600 to $800.
Whoa.
Yeah, the one I bought a couple years ago that I actually saved for quite a few years on was $900, and I just love it because it's good to minus 40 Celsius.
Yeah.
And I love it. But really, if you're only going to try it for one weekend of the year, why would you do that? So beg, steal, and borrow. Join an outdoor club that actually go on winter camps, the winter symposiums. Link up with those people. They're amazing people in the United States. We have also a group here as well in Canada. Link up with them because those people want to share their knowledge and share their experiences. And you don't want to go winter camping solo. I love solo tripping. And I love winter camping solo, but it's a lot of work. A lot of work. You got to get the tent set up. You got to get wood. You got to get water, which you do not drink melt snow because it tastes like burnt milk. So you have to go and drill a hole or chip a hole through the ice to get water. Mm-hmm. And actually, if you drink snow, you'll have bad demon dreams. It's not
wow.
Good. Yeah.
Wow.
And just so everyone knows, negative 40 degrees Celsius is actually the same as negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's the only time the two temperature systems converge. So all of you Americans out there, negative 40 Celsius is negative 40 Fahrenheit. And that's cold.
Yeah,
to be clear.
Just so you know, because we're Canadians, we're a lot more tougher than you.
That's only because you play more hockey than we do. No, and Willow, thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to ask him that, but thank you for bringing that to our attention. That's important. Yeah. Kevin, real quick, what type of things do people need to know with regard to food? Now, you just talked about water. Food for winter.
Yeah. Remember, things freeze, so don't bring a tossed salad. Okay? Don't bring a banana. That would be stupid. Don't bring eggs because they're a slush pucket. Or pucket? No, pucket. What's the hockey thing? But oh my Lord, I'm exhausted today.
Puck?
Puck. Yeah.
There you go. Right? You're almost there.
Yeah. So bring a lot of high nutrient stuff. Also, like if you're cold tenting, that's different because you have to carry it. But hot tenting, like make really good meals. I bring a cast iron, or what are they called? Dutch oven. Mm-hmm. And I put inside the tent on the wood stove, and I make curries, chilies,
a lot of one-pot meals.
Yeah, and we enjoy our meals. That's the greatest thing about hot tenting is you get in, you get all comfortable, everything's fine, everybody gets a dram, and then we make a really good meal, and we have a great conversation. If you're cold tenting, let's eat this slop and hope we get through the night.
And quickly before it freezes, right? Yeah.
So what resources would you recommend for those who are interested in getting into winter camping?
There are a few books.
He has them ready.
In fact, I should have got I had them all upstairs because I was late today. I didn't get them all ready for you, but someone helped me out there. The one, it's the Bible of winter camping. Oh boy. The Snow Walker's Companion.
The Snow Walker's Companion.
Yeah, and it's the Bible. So find that out, and it's a fantastic book, especially for hot tenting. Calvin Russerum's Life Below Zero is a classic. So you find that. It's an amazing read, but also full of information. And there's also a lot of chat forums out there, a lot of winter symposiums and also winter organizations that are on there helping people out. So so there's lots of information. You just got to find it.
Yeah.
But the first time you would go, I would not do your very first camping trip. If you've never gone camping before, go in August. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So if you want to experiment beyond that, go winter camping for sure. And maybe wait until late February, early March when the days are longer and the nights are warmer and you're more acclimatized to the cold as opposed to going maybe, in December.
And the nights are stronger than moonshine. That was a song. That was a lyric. Hey,
really?
real quick. Yeah. Before I think I got that right. Maybe I got it wrong. I was a drummer, not a singer. But let me ask you this before I ask you the last question here. This is just something I need to ask because I think a lot of people wonder this. Is nature calls as big a deal as people would imagine them to be in the winter?
Yes, it is.
I mean, you're out there reading a magazine like the Sears catalog or anything like that. They didn't even make the Sears catalog, but I'm just saying.
No, you poop as fast as possible. All right. So let's talk about the Dixie cup. So basically, if I have to urinate, so during the night, there's the people that actually keep the fire going all night, right? So every 2 hours, someone has to wake
There's
up.
a designated person. Yep, right.
Fire. Or if you're cold tenting, you use a pee bottle. So you pee in the bottle instead of going outside the tent.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that that's a really good idea. Just mark it down clearly what that's in that bottle. I had some lemonade for breakfast this morning.
Has that ever happened to you? Never mind. I don't want to know. Okay.
So, but for that though, make sure you drink lots of water. A lot of people don't drink a lot of water in winter camping because they think, well, they don't need it. But winter is a desert. Like the winter landscape is a desert, and you get very dehydrated. So drink a lot of liquid, and make sure you pee a lot. But also, when you have to poop, first of all, make sure you poop. A lot of people will hold it in, and if you hold it in more than 5 days, it will actually go and
Whoa.
it will poison you from the inside.
Wow.
Yeah, so make sure you get rid of that stuff.
I didn't even know that was possible to hold.
Yeah, when I take students out, if they don't poop by day 5, things are going to happen.
You're going to beat it out of them.
Well, I do something. I won't tell you in great detail, but I do something to make them poop.
Wow.
Yeah. Or it's an airlift. By day 6, they have to get airlifted out if they don't poop.
Wow.
So, but when you do though, what we do is we go in the woods away from camp. Make sure your hand rack is pulled way up so you don't poop on it.
Oh, right.
And you pull your snowshoes out on an angle, and you dig a hole in the snow, and then you poop as fast as possible. You could use snow for toilet paper. Some real purists do that. I think they're nuts. So I'll use toilet paper. But what I do is then I burn the toilet paper, because in the springtime you don't want to come across just that. So you burn it, and then you warm your hands off. You warm your hands over the burning toilet paper and the feces. And then you go back to camp and you tell everybody I pooped, and you get a prize.
Yeah, you get a prize. I love that. I love that. No, because people, I mean, and the thing is, I got 2 minutes left here, but people have, asked that, and they say, well, what about that would be freeze? How would you, but you do. I mean, it's possible. People do it. Yeah.
CW, really, you're not that cold out there that much when you're winter camping. During the day, you're not cold because you're hauling a freight toboggan and you're working really hard, and you never really be cold. Yeah. It's when you're setting up camp and when you're taking camp down is when you really do get cold. So you just have to deal with those times.
And it's really because you sweat a little bit, and then you got that, and that's why you're getting cold, as you mentioned.
Yeah. There's so many times where I've taken someone who's never gone before, and I remember a couple years ago, there's one guy that had never been before. It was minus 48. That's cold. That's really cold. Yeah. And you got to watch for frostbite and things like that. We get out of the vehicle, and he's like, I don't want to go. I went, in 20 minutes from now, you'd be hauling that toboggan down the trail, and you'd be taking your layers off. I guarantee.
Yeah.
And
I totally believe that. Yeah. All right, we got to sign off. We're running out of time here. So, Kevin, real quickly, where can our viewers and listeners go to follow you on social media and also to purchase your books?
Well, the best thing really, if you go to my YouTube channel, Casey Happy Camper, and look up my winter camping presentation I did during the COVID lockdown, I put the whole thing on for everybody to watch. So go to Casey Happy Camper, look up winter camping presentation. That's probably one of the best things for you to do tonight and to watch it. Or you can go to any place that sells books, Rutabaga or Amazon, whatever, and the winter camping book that I wrote is now in its 2nd edition. So in 2 weeks now, it'll be in the stores. So you might not want to get this one. This is the 1st edition. The 2nd edition is going to be out in 2 weeks, and it's got 30 extra pages.
Excellent. Well, listen, real quick, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and your comments. We're going to check those out here. Definitely have the show. We'd like to thank you, Kevin, for being our guest here on the Camping Show. It was a pleasure, absolutely pleasure, having you here this evening, sir.
And this is sponsored by DixieCup.com.
Dixie, that's right. Love it.
We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Campground Views and Rutabaga Paddle Sports, for bringing you tonight's show.
Be sure to tune in for next week's episode, Gear Maintenance and Storage, with our special guest, Cliff Jacobson.
Until then, thank you for tuning into the Camping Show.
This is C.W. Getz
and Willow Munson,
reminding you,
learn more,
do more. See you next week.
Bye.